Welcome to our Students with King Nonviolence Spotlight Series. Today we're going to tell you about an amazing civil rights leader who helped change the world.
When you hear her awesome story, it will hopefully spark something in you to make a difference and make your community better for everybody. Our spotlight person is
Mrs. Doris Crenshaw. In 1955, at the age of 12, Doris served as vice president of the NAACP Youth Council when Mrs. Rosa Parks was advisor to the Youth Council. Mrs. Crenshaw didn't wait to become an adult to start making a difference. She started at age 12. Did you hear me? Age 12, working with Mrs. Rosa Parks herself. And guess what? It gets even better. She continued her community outreach in Chicago with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yes, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on the open housing campaign. This means she experienced some things that she knew were not right, yet she didn't just sit around talking about them. She knew she could make a difference, and she had the heart, the passion, and the courage to step out and do her part to make the world a better place. Mrs. Crenshaw was a senior grassroots coordinator for SPHERE. She was a senior consultant to Alabama Power Company and founder and CEO of the Southern Youth Leadership Development Institute. Yep, you can say it, Mrs. Crenshaw is awesome. Doris Crenshaw has over 60 years of community activist experience, and she's not done yet. Mrs. Doris Crenshaw is our spotlight person for this session. Now let us view our Students with King Spotlight feature.
Well, there were a lot of hate groups and a lot of people that acted like, you see how some of these people are acting today. And we went through periods where people threw acid, they threw rotten eggs, they said horrible things, but it was the faith. We all had faith. And I think one of the positive things, one of the propelling things of Dr. King was his faith. And so in the Montgomery bus boycott, we started with the nonviolent movement and passive resistance. And so it went on and on with all of the movements around the country. People have to understand we didn't just go out and do things. Mm-hmm. They researched what we were going to do. And I was 12 years old. So, that age, I was in awe of him. Mm-hmm. His presence, you just knew that was somebody that you wanted to follow.
Yes.
And so later, all the movements that came through Montgomery, because in the period from 1955 to 1965, there were always things going on around the civil rights movement. And I had the pleasure of working in all of those movements and to observe him mostly in meetings and the mass meetings and sometimes some small meetings. I was in Chicago with him in 1967 for the open housing movement. Well, he had a passion for our people. Mm-hmm. And he studied, he always had some books that he read and encouraged us to read. And he was very sincere about his purpose and just made you feel like you wanted to be a part of it. He was sometimes a jokester, but he was also, you got a warm and fuzzy feeling with him. And he encouraged you to read because he read all the time. And he studied, like she said, philosophers, and was in the Bible, in Mahatma Gandhi, but he read, and if you notice movies of us in the movement, you notice that we went to jail with the Bible and books in our hands because we were encouraged to read. But you felt him and you had a different feeling that came from him than any other person that was in the room. He has that aurora.
Yeah.
But he also could joke with you and at the same time. And we went with him to pool halls and to some of the nightclubs and then to recruit people because, as she said, all of us are human and all of us are equal in God's sight. He was able to build coalitions. And like she said, it wasn't just him, but he was able to inspire. Jesus had disciples, so he was able to inspire disciples, and he was able to ignite a feeling with the people that he talked to that felt like they should be a part of this. I had the pleasure of also working for Mrs. King, but I was attracted to her because when Dr. King was assassinated, she started talking about building the King Center. And people laughed at her, and they said that we don't need to deal with bricks, you need to put that money out in the community. But she came to talk to a group of us about her passion for wanting to do this and why it was important. We met at Pasca's, and she sat on a dashiki-like dress, and she sat on the floor, and she talked about the need to document his works. And those people laughed at her. But I was determined to work with her because I felt her also as I felt Dr. King. I didn't recognize that we would ignite all of this. And so it was in later life that I began to understand that we had a force that ignited movements all around the world. So I felt working with them that it's another person. As she said, it wasn't no little I's and big U's, that we all were in this together and we all were very important. So I felt love for them and a determination to help them to complete their works.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for our Spotlight Story with Mrs. Doris Crenshaw. As a member of the beloved community, Mrs. Crenshaw did her part to change the quality of life for all people. If you would like to learn more, please check out our website at thekingcenter.org. Special thanks to our sponsor, the National Football League, for making this moment possible.